You don't have a discipline problem, you don't have a willpower problem, you have a boundary problem. And it's showing up in 4 different places in your life, wearing 4 different disguises, so you've been treating them as 4 separate failures instead of one. Look at where you feel out of control. Money slips through your hands, not because you don't earn, but because something keeps pulling it out of you. Your energy gets drained by people who somehow always need something. The important thing you meant to do got buried under everything else that grabbed your attention first. And the habit you keep swearing off keeps winning quietly at the worst moments. 4 different battles, 4 different frustrations, and you've probably concluded you're just weak in 4 different ways. You're not. Every one of those is the same failure, and it has a precise definition. A boundary is the line that decides what gets to move you. And in every one of those 4 areas, the line is gone, so everything moves you. The temptation moves you, the person moves you, the distraction moves you, the impulse moves you. You're not weak, you're unguarded in 4 places at once. This isn't motivation. Nobody's going to tell you to want it more. This is about a single principle a Chinese general wrote down 2,500 years ago, and it turns out to be the whole thing. Sun Tzu said the essence of all strategy is this: move others. Do not let them move you. Bring the world to your terms. Refuse to be brought to its. He was writing about armies, but it's the exact definition of a boundary. And by the end of this, you'll see all 4 of your struggles as one fight, which is the only way you'll ever win them. That's what we do here. We take the oldest strategic minds in the world and use them on the life you're actually living. Ancient answers to modern walls. If that's useful, subscribe. Let's start with the reframe that makes the rest work, because almost everyone has the word boundary wrong. You've been taught that a boundary is something you set with other people, a line you tell them not to cross. That's a fraction of it, and it's the least important fraction. A real boundary isn't a rule you announce to others. It's a decision about what gets to move you. And most of the things that move you aren't people at all. They're impulses, fears, cravings, and distractions coming from inside. The person with real boundaries isn't the one who tells everyone off. It's the one whose center of gravity sits inside themselves, so the world, outside and inside, doesn't get to yank them around. Now let's walk the 4 battlefields and watch the same enemy show up in each one. The first is money. And the reason money controls people has almost nothing to do with income. It's that money moves you before you move it. The sale you didn't need, the upgrade to match someone else's, the panic that makes you sell at the bottom, or the greed that makes you buy at the top. In every case, something external, a feeling, a comparison, a fear, reached in and moved your money for you. You were brought to the enemy's ground. The person with a financial boundary isn't cheap. They've simply decided in advance what moves their money, and it's a very short list. Their own plan is on it. A stranger's opinion isn't. A momentary craving isn't. The market's panic isn't. Han Fei, the coldest strategist China ever produced, said whoever controls what you need controls you. Every want is a handle. The person who wants less has fewer handles, and a person with fewer handles cannot be moved as easily, with money or anything else. Wealth doesn't start with earning. It starts with becoming hard to move. The second battlefield is other people. Specifically, your energy. You know, the person who leaves you hollowed out. The friend who only appears when they need something. The one who offloads their anxiety onto you and walks away lighter while you carry it for the rest of the day. That's not connection. That's a withdrawal. And you left the account open. Here's the boundary almost nobody has. Your energy is capital, the only capital you truly own, and most people spend theirs entirely on whoever demands it most aggressively. The person with this boundary hasn't become cold. They've simply stopped treating every request as a command and every provocation as something they're obligated to answer. Sun Tzu again, a person who can be moved by anyone at any time, belongs to whoever pulls hardest. The boundary is deciding, deliberately, who gets access to your energy, instead of letting the most demanding people take it by default. Pause for a second and answer this honestly. Who in your life takes your energy and gives nothing back? And why have you left that door open? Just name them. One person, hold it, because the door was never locked by them. It was left open by you. The third battlefield is getting things done. And here the enemy isn't a person at all. It's the distraction, the easier task, the notification, the small hit of relief that pulls you off the thing that actually matters. You sit down to do the important work, and within minutes, something has moved you somewhere else, and an hour is gone. This is the same failure exactly. The important thing has no defenders, and everything trivial gets to walk right in. The person who succeeds isn't more disciplined in some mystical way. They've drawn a boundary around the thing that matters and made it expensive to cross. They decide what the day is for before the day decides for them. They bring their attention to their own chosen ground instead of being dragged to whatever shouts loudest. Because success, at bottom, is just the ability to keep your focus on one thing long enough for it to compound. And that is impossible if anything can move you at any moment. The undefended mind achieves nothing, not for lack of talent, but because it never stays anywhere long enough. The fourth battlefield is the hardest, because the enemy is inside you. The bad habit, the craving, the impulse you keep losing to. And I want to be careful and honest here, because this one is real and it's not solved by a slogan. But see it clearly first. The craving is doing exactly what the needy friend does, what the market panic does, what the notification does. It's reaching in and trying to move you on its timing toward its goal, not yours. It is the purest version of the whole problem, something that is not the deciding part of you trying to take the wheel. And every time you obey it, you've confirmed that it's in charge. The boundary here isn't white-knuckle willpower, because willpower runs out. You'll hold the line 9 times, and the 10th time, tired, you'll fold. And that one fold teaches the craving that the line moves if it just pushes long enough. The real move is structural. You make the impulse expensive to act on before the moment of weakness arrives. You change your environment, remove the trigger, put distance between the urge and the action, so that in the weak moment, the wheel isn't even in reach. You don't beat the craving with strength in the moment. You beat it with a decision made in advance when you were strong. That removes the option. Now, before the thing that ties all four together, I have to be clear, because this idea has a poison version. Boundaries are not walls. The goal is not to become an unreachable person who needs no one, feels nothing, wants nothing, and calls that strength. That's not sovereignty. It's just a nicer sounding prison. The point of a boundary was never to keep everything out. It's to put you in charge of what comes in. You still spend money on what you actually chose. You still give your energy to the people who deserve it. You still enjoy things deliberately, not compulsively. A boundary isn't a refusal to be moved by anything. It's the power to decide what moves you instead of being moved by default. Someone with no boundaries is run by the world. Someone who's all walls is run by their fear. Sovereignty is the narrow thing in between, open on purpose, closed on purpose, and you holding the decision either way. So here's what ties all four together. Money, people, focus, impulse. They look like 4 different problems, but in every single one, the exact same thing is happening. Something outside your control center is deciding for you. A feeling spends your money. A demanding person spends your energy. A distraction spends your attention. A craving spends your self-control. In all four, the deciding seat, the one that should be yours, has been quietly taken by something that is not you. A boundary is the act of taking that seat back. Every one of the four is the same move, putting yourself back in the deciding chair and making the world, outside and in, come to you instead of you being dragged to it. That's why you can't fix them one habit at a time, and why every just be more disciplined attempt failed. They're not four skills, they're one position. And once you take it in one area, something strange happens. It gets easier in the others because you're not learning four things. You're becoming one kind of person, the kind the world doesn't get to move without permission. So let's go back to where we started. You feeling out of control in four different places. You were never weak in four ways. You had one seat and you'd let four different things take turns sitting in it. Your fears, your friends, your feed, your cravings. Each one steering a part of your life while you wondered why none of it went where you wanted. Of course it didn't. You weren't driving, so don't think about how to build more willpower. Think about who you're becoming, not the person whose money, energy, focus, and self are spent by whatever reaches for them first. The person back in the deciding seat, who still opens the door, still spends, still gives, still enjoys, but every time on purpose, because they decided, and not because something moved them. And here's the thing, Sun Tzu was one of an entire generation of Chinese minds who understood that the hardest territory to hold isn't a border or a market. It's the seat inside you where the deciding happens. We're decoding every one of them, one mind at a time. If this showed you even one seat you've handed to something that isn't you, then you already understand why most people will spend their whole lives being moved in four directions and calling it life. A few will take the seat back, decide which one you are.